guys, welcome to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you are on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to take secondhand finds and share the process with you all of how I make these items over. So in today's video, I am doing a furniture piece. We're moving, so we've been slowly cleaning out our inventory, and then pieces get tucked behind other pieces that you forget that you have. So I have this amazing desk that I want to share with you, the transformation of how I give it a more updated, well, kind of updated, but a primitive look to it. So when I found this piece, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this piece. I got this from my friend Kathy's mom's estate. It was a piece that her mom had redone herself and gave it a painting technique to kind of look like it was like that tiger type of wood, but it's actually a painting technique. So yes, you can see the white paint underneath, and it has been used. It has been well loved, so it needs a little bit of help and a little bit of updating. That attracted me to this piece is that little cubby inside, and then it had a little drawer. So we're just going to get this sticker taken off. Just a nice little extra storage, extra place to do your bills, just an extra decorative piece. But like I said, it's been used. It was a desk. It was used for what it was for. So I'm just taking some 150 sandpaper, and we're going to get the gouges, the stains, the ink stains, and just to see how clean we can get this. On top of the white paint to give it that look, it has either a stain or a polyurethane that has yellowed over time. So I'm really trying to at least try to get that off. I'm not going to get it down all the way to the raw wood because I'm going to be painting this piece, but I do want to make it nice and smooth and get as much of the polyurethane off that I can to give something for my paint to grab onto. And then on the top, there's some kind of a watermark. I don't know if it's showing up on camera or not, but that has seeped all the way into the wood. So I know that I'm not going to be able to completely remove that without going down very deep into the wood. So now you can really tell, since I started to sand it, where that round spot is. So now I have it sanded as smooth as I can get. You can see the texture, like a dragging tool or something was used on this piece to give it all that different texture. I bet that was really fun to do. So now I'm just going to go ahead and tape it off. And I have a little detail, like the side of the drawer is thinner than the top of the front of the drawer. So I'm just cutting out that little bit of a detail. Love the little cubby. I can't remove the little cubby. It's glued in place, but I don't want to paint that part. I love that accent of a wood, so I'm going to take the time to tape that off. I have every area that I do not want to get drips or runs or paint on. I'm going to go just take some Dawn dish soap, some hot water, and get the piece completely wiped off. One of the hinges on the side is missing its screws. So luckily Chris hoards on flathead screws from auctions, knowing that a lot of these pieces, it would be nice to try to match up with the original type of hardware. So I was lucky enough to find a couple that were small that would fit into this. So for the inside, I'm actually just going to spray it with some Rust-Oleum black flat spray paint. With that cubby and the angles and getting all the way to the back, it's just really hard to do it with a brush. So for me, this was just going to be the easiest way. And then I'm not worried about the hardware. I'm going to go ahead and just paint right on top of the hardware also. So I have a few different textures going on here with some staining and some old polyurethane. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with a couple coats of shellac to act as a primer to seal this piece in. Before moving on to the body of this desk, I'm going to now seal that Rust-Oleum paint in using some polyacrylic and matte. If you've been watching my last few videos, you will know that I have been playing around with Sweet Pickins milk paint, and I spied this red wagon, which the name is what caught me, but I'm hoping that I love the color as much as I love the name. So when it comes to the Sweet Pickins milk paint, it is a powder paint, and so you do equal parts paint to equal parts water. Because I'm making such a big quantity to paint a furniture piece, I'm just using this hand mixer to mix it up. That'll really get any lumps or anything out. So you need to mix it for 2 minutes, and it kind of aerates. You'll see some bubbles forming, and then I sit it off to the side for another minute or so and let it thicken up until it gets to be like a pancake batter consistency. Milk paint is a runny type of paint, but it's still enough that it clings right onto that brush. So I'm just going to go right at it and just start brushing it on. Now, I don't have a heavy hand. I'm not really trying to like force it on there. I'm just lightly, since it's such a wet paint, that I'm just kind of moving it around. It's not my usual to paint right over hardware, but I just have a certain primitive look that I'm going for this piece. And I know probably at first you're like, oh my gosh, that color's not so pretty, but you have to trust the process. Trusting the process of crafting and DIY is probably one of the hardest things to do. So I'm just going to get it on. I'm just going to let it dry, and then we'll see what it becomes. When I painted this piece, I left that door shut. I just left it shut, so I'm not sure if anything ran underneath it or not. We'll find out here in a little bit. I don't know. So now I'm going to go in with some 220 sandpaper, and we're going to start sanding and distressing, and you'll quickly see, oop, hey, there's the keyhole again. See, that's why I'm like, you have to trust the process. You have to know what steps you're doing. I love the way that milk paint sands, the texture it gives. So at first, I'm just lightly sanding it to see what I've got. There again, I don't have a ton of chippiness with it like I have had in the past with my smaller pieces. So I'm just going to go in and really start to distress the edges here. I'm just kind of like going in gingerly, seeing what it's going to do when I'm sanding it. And then if I need to sand it more, I decided I wanted it a little bit smoother of a finish. So that's what I'm doing. So when I started this project, I really wanted to use the Pennsylvania. Yes, I wanted to use these. And I thought, oh, the little detail at the bottom would just be perfect. But you know how that goes. As you're working on a project and you start to do it, you're like, oh, I'm not sure. I was having a problem like lining them up on the drawer, and I just didn't like it, I guess. That's plain and simple. So the nice thing about milk paint, even though I'm using the permanent IOD ink, is that I could just wipe it off. Yeah, so it wasn't like sealed in there, so I was able to remove it. Sometimes you just have to see it on to see if you like it, and sometimes you have to take it off when you don't. So I decided that I'm just going to finish this. I like the color. I really do think it has a primitive vibe. And just wait till you see what this Jolie black wax does to it. It's really going to take it from just a painted piece into that. This is going to look so old when it's done. You'll not believe that this isn't it is an older piece, but an older painted piece. So I'm just wiping on Jolie's black wax, and as it goes, you wipe on and then you wipe off the excess. To control my wipe off, I am using a little bit of the Natural Clear Wax by Varathane, and just look how it just richens up that paint. Oh, be still my heart. The black wax is staying in the crevices, and oh my goodness gracious, am I loving on this. Need to take a moment and do another step just to tone down the really blackness of that spray paint. So I'm just doing that using some Waverly Antiquing Wax. I've already sanded it, so it will grab on and just give it a more of an aged, richened look. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and I am in love with this makeover. I wanted to make this piece look primitive. That was not some special wood. That was a painted That was a paint job somebody else did. If I really worked hard to it, I could have got it back down to the natural, but I knew I was going to be painting over it. And that milk paint, I'm really loving Sweet Milk. I am really loving Sweet Pickins milk paint. I love the color choices. I love that they have the old-timey colors, this red Wagon with that black wax. And oh my gosh, just touching this piece, you would have thought this paint has been here for 1,000 years. Okay, maybe 100. But yes, I love the primitive vibe of this piece, and I know primitive pieces sell. They sell really well. So I'm glad to have this desk, the quick and easy of doing the spray paint inside, you know. Anyway, thanks for watching today's video. And as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out our furniture flipping for the first time and you liked what you saw, not only do we do furniture flipping of secondhand finds, I do smaller items. So hit that subscription button along with the notification bell so you know when you've uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys. And you can see what we're up to. Bye.